Hey everybody, good morning. It's time for Ask Amy Anything. I think I've pressed all the right things to record live on Facebook. So if you're joining me from Facebook, hey, if you're joining me from YouTube, hello, welcome. Okay, I have a question from an educator that's really struggling, and it doesn't sound like a struggle that is new for many educators. So let me see. I'm going to pull up her question and share it with you here. Okay, let's talk about it. All right. So this educator shared with me. Oh, hold on. Let me move around over here. Okay. So in her email, she says this. Okay. Um, Good morning, Amy. Very sweetly, she was a participant in one of my classes about Mr. Rogers and language in the classroom, inspired by the neighborhood at a recent conference down in Southern Oregon. And she reached out because I always offer coaching to folks who have been in any of my classes. So she reached out, and here's what she says. I taught preschool many years and I didn't think it would come back around again. I've done lots of things in education. Most recently, I was a substitute for a K-5 elementary school for 8 years. I really enjoyed it. And I was asked by admin to consider teaching in the new preschool program. Program started pretty recently, right? So we follow the school schedule, and it's my first full year with this class. Right. She continues. My class has 19 students. It's a mix of high needs and general ed. Though I was around life skills classes as a sub and tried to learn all that I could, I was not prepared to have four nonverbal autistic kids and a fifth who has language but big emotions. Right. Let's see. Big emotions, high needs, along with other issues and just preschool big emotions, she says. The ESD lady who pushes into my class once a week for half an hour for support and services for my kids said that of the 14 sites she goes to, mine is the most complex. She's told me that she would like to use my room as a model for inclusion because my kids have done well. She said, basically, I have a SPED class embedded in my class and about 12 general ed students also. So she continues. She defined it as by explaining that ESD caps the classes at 6 kids and has 3 well-trained assistants in the room. And this has not been this teacher's experience. I've learned what I can and adapted where I can. One of my kids, I'm told, is 18 months in cognitive ability, but is a 5-year-old. Another student was tested this year and has an IQ of 118, yet his social emotional skills are nearly non existent. And he screams and throws things if he doesn't get his way. Wow, that sounds really hard. Does anybody, can you relate? Can you relate to that? Unfortunately, this kind of scenario is nothing new, although this particular situation sounds especially difficult and complex for sure. So, what this teacher is describing it isn't a typical preschool classroom, right? It's a highly, really complex inclusion environment, right? And it requires specialized support and staffing and training for there to be peace and harmony in the classroom space, right? So the fact that her students are making progress says so much to this teacher's dedication, her responsiveness, flexibility, and relationship building skills. It sounds like she's put a lot of attention and work into building relationships with these children and making adaptations where she can. We could all probably agree she's carrying a huge, tremendous amount, a big load, right? Okay, so I had to sit with this and think about it for a little while before I came up with an answer. So I put together some notes and pulled in some research, and here's my response for that. Okay, so here's some to start with some important reminders and solutions. I am certain that several of these reminders will be just that, reminders for this teacher and for all of you out here who are looking for solutions for this type of struggle in your classroom environment. Okay, so a reminder, inclusion does not mean that one teacher absorbs the workload of an undersupported SPED classroom. This teacher's concerns are really valid, right? So another reminder is to focus on regulation before academics, right? The academics of any preschool classroom is sort of a happy accident that follows a harmonious, peaceful, calm, calm as a preschool classroom could be environment, right? Many behaviors that any of us see in classrooms, their communication, right? They can communicate that there's some sort of sensory overload or nervous system dysregulation, right? So some ideas just to get started. What can you do to simplify your environment? Right. We all know that there's a great importance to preparation of your environment and preparation of yourself before children even enter into that community. Right. So let's talk about the environment first. So how can we simplify it? Taking a pause, observing your classroom in as an objective way possible, right? And look, can I offer any visual schedules so children can be independent and know, okay, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, right? So they know what to expect through the course of through a regular day, right? Next, along with that, some predictable routines. What can they expect in the transition from lunch to recess, or from recess to indoors, or from work time to nap time, or at dismissal, right? Take a look at the number of transitions that you have in the classroom day. Is there a way to eliminate some of the transitions and make them fewer, right? Is there a calm sensory space for children to go and self-regulate? Have they had opportunity to practice and rehearse and see you and other children in your classroom role model what to do when your emotions get really big, right? Um, Another thing to remember, and I know that you're doing this from our brief conversation, is offering clear boundaries, right? Using phrases like first this, then that, or after this, then comes this, right? When you so and so, then we can so and so, right? Offering clear boundaries, right? Another phrase to remember is I won't let you. If a child is hitting or hurting other children, that's absolutely something that you step in for and help and assist with. I won't let you hit. And then what can you do to go about stopping that behavior, whether it's moving other children away, or doing what you can to stop that type of unsafe behavior, right? um, so along these lines, if you see children who are having these explosive behaviors, you can think about, okay, what can I do? What have I done to prevent, right? Prevention over punishment, right? Let's see, co-regulation over consequences. I know if you know me, we talk a lot about regulation and the power of our own self-regulation as a role model for other children and as a safe place for them to regulate alongside us and kind of borrow our energy to regulate when they are dysregulated themselves, right? And that takes practice and consistency, right? Okay, so there you go. Co-regulation over consequences. Um, let's see. Carrying on, it's such a complex question, right? There's so much to think about and so much to talk about. So if you need to pause this and like just settle and think about what we just talked about, what you can put into place right now, then great, go for it. Come back and take a listen to the next chunk and see if there's something else you could try. Right. Okay. So now I'm thinking about the students in your classroom that are nonverbal, right? So nonverbal students need a really robust communication supports, right? Woven throughout the day, right? So what about visuals? Visuals tend to be something that's really useful and helpful for children who are nonverbal. Make them as simple and clear as possible. Ideally, if you could take real photographs to add to your visuals, instead of stick drawings or something like that, that adds to the clarity of what the expectations are in whatever visual aid you're creating, right? How about using gestures, right, instead of words? right? So you point or you gesture to communicate, come stand by me, or that's where your snack dishes go, or come sit here, right? Um, and then are there alternative communication systems or supports that your agency or your program leadership can provide, or the experts that are pushing in to your classroom to help support and guide and coach? Are there some additional supports that particular children may need and may find really useful? Right. Choice boards are a classic. I think most of us have had those in our classroom before. Do you want to do this or do you want to do that? That can be on a board, or I knew a teacher once who made cards with photographs of the different choices that this child had at different times of the day and kept them in a small basket that were just for that student. And they could go through and decide, what do I want to do first? What do I want to do next? What do I want to do after? And I'm thinking of one child who would plot out his entire morning with, I'm going to come in, I'm going to wash my hands, I'm going to have snack, I'm going to choose watercolor, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to take a movement break. And we plotted out his whole morning. And that was really useful for that child. Now, depending on the child, how many choices you give depends on their success in and their practice in being able to make decisions. So sometimes it might be this, then that, and then you do it again. Next, this, then that. And as they grow in their ability of making choices and uh, um, putting themselves into their work, right, they can choose another. So add a third when they're successful with two choices. Once they're successful with three choices, maybe add a fourth, right? Okay, carrying on. And again, those consistent routines and processes are key, right? Let's see. Something else to remember, a reminder, is about your own energy as the prepared adult in our prepared environment. What are you doing to protect your own energy, right? Are you taking deep breaths? Are you setting some sort of reminder that at the top and the bottom of every hour, you pause and take 3 deep breaths? Right? Maybe you could set a vibration reminder on your watch, or maybe you have a timer for your own self, not just for children. They can be for us too, to remind us to pause. Oh, yeah, I need to drink water. I need to take a movement break. I need to stretch my body. I'm going to take 3 deep breaths. Whatever works for you. You know, those consistent routines for children are important, and they are also important for us, right? To help us protect our energy and sustain ourselves throughout a day that can get really long, right? So I think I want to end with most importantly is advocation clearly and specifically, where you can reach out to leadership and reach out to coaches, and maybe instead of saying I need help, you can back that up with documentation, right? What is the frequency of unsafe behavior? What do you see from your own experience would be staffing needs during these transitions? Maybe you need more people, more supports during transitions that can get a little hairy, right? Can you document the minutes of lost time because you're in crisis management, or the community is managing a crisis, right? What is the impact on all the learners in the classroom, right? That kind of documentation can support when you step forward to advocate for more assistance and more supports, right? Some requests that you can consider reaching out to make is additional para support, autism or inclusion coaching. Now, I know this particular teacher has a lot of coaching that a coach almost dedicated almost exclusively to her, and they check in weekly, and they're working together to try to put into place systems. And I know that they are remembering many of the tips that we've talked about today. So this particular teacher has a really solid coach in that arena. So, but if you don't have that, How can you advocate for that, for more coaching specific to the disability that you're working with, right? What about a behavior specialist consultation? What systems are in place where you are, where another person who has a specialty in specific behaviors that are bothersome that can push in to assist, or training that you could reach out and take about specific behavior supports for children, especially behaviors that are bothersome to the point of maybe becoming unsafe, right? Um, is there a community that you could reach out to, a square squad, if you will? I mean, if you know me, you know I love Brene Brown, and Brene Brown talks about the idea of a square squad, people that you can surround yourself who know the work, who are in the arena, who respect your work and you respect their work, and they will tell you truly and honestly what they see and what they notice, right? They could be your cheerleader, and they could also be someone who could say, your face is doing that thing again. Deep breath. I think it's time to take a break, right? So, do you have some people who can come in and offer an objective perspective? Sometimes, everybody, when we're in it, we just can't see, of course, until somebody points it out, right? Oh, yeah, let me move that shelf over. Let me take out half of the books that I have, because I have 100 books. Let's just pare it down. What about all the stuff on my wall? Can I edit and simplify? What about this transition? Can I make it more clear and more simplified for children who need simplified transitions, right? So that kind of collaborative relationship, coupled with collaborative planning time, trauma informed SPED professional development. There are loads of people out there and really good training around trauma informed processes in the classroom. So if you can't find them in your area, reach out to me. I will happily do that research for you. And I know several people who have that specialty and are quite gifted in that. So happy to share those resources if you need them. All right. Okay, deep breath. You don't have to be perfect overnight, right? Strong, inclusive teaching, it starts with relationships and safety, predictability, responsiveness. And this teacher, it sounds like you've got all of that in place, right? You're already doing a lot of these things really well. The children love you, the families respect you, you've got experience, you've got a sense of vulnerability to reach out when you need help. So I just want to give a big shout out and a way to go for this teacher to reach out and ask for new ideas to better serve the children in her care. So that's what I got for you this morning. I hope your day is beautiful, and I'll see you the next Ask Amy Anything. So know that you can send questions ahead of time if you're not able to join at the correct time. I think in June I'm going to try a different time of day when perhaps folks aren't in classrooms. So yeah, we're all learning. So if you have questions that you want me to answer, please feel free to email them to me or somehow reach out to me. You can reach out to me through the contact button on my website, amywilliamsacademy.com, or you can email me at amywilliamsacademy@gmail.com, or follow me on Instagram, Amy Williams Academy, and message me there. I'm happy to find out what support looks like for you and what I can do to step into to be that for you. All right. So that concludes today's Ask Amy Anything, and we'll see you next time.